Have you ever stood beside someone who looked not just younger, but lighter, freer, as if they carried time differently? And in that moment, you realized aging is not only biological but spiritual. It is not just about how many years you have lived, but how lightly you have lived them. This talk is not about reversing time. It is not about appearing young through artificial means. It is about understanding a deeper law of nature, that the way we live, moment to moment, writes itself into our face, our voice, our posture, our presence. When you begin to refine how you breathe, how you love, how you process pain, time begins to treat you differently. Because you are no longer resisting life, you are flowing with it. And in that flow, your body, mind, and relationships begin to age in harmony, not in conflict. So let us now walk through these 7 hidden reasons that your body may already be telling a deeper story. A story of self-awareness, spiritual clarity, and emotional mastery. There is something profound about a face that is free from inner conflict. Not flawless, not untouched by time, but peaceful. It reflects not just what a person has been through, but how they have carried it. That is the essence of youthfulness that cannot be replicated with creams, surgery, or routines. It is the natural glow that comes when the heart is no longer in a constant state of inner war. We begin with emotional clarity, not because it's the most glamorous, but because it is the most essential. Emotional clarity is the ability to feel deeply without becoming overwhelmed, to process without becoming stuck, and to choose peace over the seductive drama of emotional reactivity. In a world where noise is constant and triggers are everywhere, clarity is not given. It is cultivated. It is a discipline. In Eastern philosophy, the mind is compared to a lake. If the surface is constantly stirred by storms of fear, resentment, jealousy, then even the most beautiful reflections cannot appear. But if the surface is still, the light of awareness reflects back clearly. This is why emotional clarity makes you appear younger, because it allows life to flow through you without becoming lodged in your face, your posture, your energy. Let us consider the physiological dimension for a moment. When the body experiences unresolved emotional tension, such as chronic anxiety, bitterness, or grief, it produces an ongoing stream of stress hormones, particularly cortisol. Cortisol, in small doses, is essential for survival. But in excess, it begins to corrode our youth. It breaks down collagen, contributes to inflammation, impairs memory, and even accelerates cellular aging through the shortening of telomeres. Now think of the people who, even in the face of life's complexity, seem light, not shallow, but light. They respond with awareness, not reaction. Their eyes aren't darting in suspicion, they are open, grounded. Their smile is not plastered on. It is born of a heart that has made peace with its story. There was a woman I once met during a teaching retreat in the mountains. She was in her late 60s, yet her posture was upright, her eyes clear, and her skin had the kind of natural glow you cannot buy. After the session, I asked her privately, "You seem to carry very little weight emotionally. What have you practiced?" She smiled gently and said, "I learned to stop holding what was never mine to carry. The guilt, the anger, the stories others projected onto me. I return it all. Every evening, I breathe it out." This is the kind of wisdom that defies age. It's the practice of conscious release. You do not have to carry the emotional clutter of every conversation, every wound, every unresolved word. But to reach that state, you must cultivate clarity. And clarity comes when you create space between stimulus and response. In relationships, emotional clarity is especially transformative. Without it, we react, we blame, we assume. But with it, we begin to perceive people as they are, not as we fear they might be. This reduces unnecessary conflict, which not only drains love, but also drains life energy. Have you noticed that after a heated argument, you feel physically exhausted? That is not just emotional, it is cellular. Your body registers every emotional conflict as a survival threat, even when there is no actual danger. When you develop emotional clarity, you stop engaging in battles that do not deserve your energy. You stop proving your worth to those who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop waiting for closure from those who benefit from your confusion. And in this discipline, your energy becomes clean, unentangled, and that clarity becomes your beauty. A youthful spirit is not nerva, it is disciplined. It knows what to allow in and what to let go. And perhaps this is why people who appear younger than their age often have boundaries. Not as walls, but as conscious choices about where their attention flows. They understand that inner peace is not something you wait for, it is something you protect. Now, let us journey deeper into the second hidden reason that contributes to this mysterious, graceful youthfulness: the breath. Breathing is the most intimate act of life. It is the first thing we do when we arrive and the last thing we do when we depart. And yet, most people treat it as a mechanical background process. They breathe unconsciously, rapidly, shallowly, mirroring the haste and chaos of their thoughts. But what if we told you that the way you breathe could be the key to preserving not just your inner calm, but your outer appearance? In Eastern wisdom, the breath is the carrier of life force, known as Qi or prana. When your breath is deep, slow and intentional, it signals to the body, you are safe. And when the body feels safe, it exits survival mode and enters healing mode. From a physiological perspective, this activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and restore system. This is where digestion improves, the heart rate lowers, inflammation decreases, and cellular repair accelerates. What does this have to do with youthfulness? Everything. When you live in a chronic state of shallow breathing, often due to anxiety, poor posture, or emotional suppression, you are unknowingly signaling to your body that danger is always near. This keeps the body in a heightened state of stress, which accelerates aging from the inside out. Muscles tense, skin tightens in unnatural ways, fatigue sets in, and most importantly, the inner stillness that gives birth to true presence is nowhere to be found. Let's explore a story that illustrates this beautifully. A middle-aged man once attended a training with us. He was in his early 50s but appeared tired, older, worn out, not from time, but from burden. He confessed, "I feel like I'm constantly racing. Even when I sit still, my mind is sprinting." I observed him during a walking meditation. His breathing was shallow, almost imperceptible. So I invited him to pause and place one hand on his chest and one on his abdomen. Feel the breath. Do not force it. Just become aware of it. And as you feel it, ask yourself, what am I rushing toward that cannot wait for my soul? He became still. After several minutes, his face softened, his shoulders dropped, his breath deepened. And over the following days, something remarkable happened. His features changed, not drastically, but noticeably. His eyes became less sunken. His complexion improved. His energy lifted. He wasn't healed from the past, but he had returned to the present. And this is the secret. Youth is not a product of age. It is a result of how deeply we live each moment. Breath is the bridge between body and mind. When the breath is shallow, the mind becomes chaotic, and the body becomes reactive. But when the breath is deep, the mind finds clarity, and the body finds its rhythm. This is why in every ancient tradition, whether yoga, qigong, or zen, the breath is the starting point of transformation. In relationships, how you breathe even shapes how you love. A person who breathes consciously tends to listen more, interrupt less, and respond with calmness. This changes everything. It reduces misunderstanding. It creates space for repair. It anchors the emotional tone of the relationship. Two people who learn to breathe together, without saying a word, are practicing a kind of silent synchronization that deepens connection beyond language. Let me offer you something practical. Begin with this simple practice each morning. Before touching your phone, before engaging with the outer world, sit in stillness. Place your feet flat on the ground, spine straight, and bring your awareness to your breath. Inhale slowly through the nose for a count of 4. Hold for a moment. Exhale gently through the mouth for a count of 6. Repeat for 5 minutes. No need to visualize or affirm anything. Just breathe. Watch what happens over a few weeks. Not just in your stress levels, but in how you carry yourself, how you connect, how others respond to your presence. There is a quiet power in those who breathe with awareness. Their voice carries calm. Their touch carries presence. Their eyes hold depth. They do not need to rush into rooms to be noticed. Their energy enters first. And in this, they preserve something sacred, not just their health, but their essence. That essence is what people call youthfulness, but it is really a reflection of alignment. Alignment between breath, body, thought, and being. When the breath returns home, the body follows. And when the body is no longer bracing for life, but welcoming it, The face softens, the shoulders lower, the heartbeat steadies, and time begins to stretch. Not because the clock changes, but because your relationship to life does. So in these first two principles, emotional clarity and conscious breath, we begin to see a different picture of aging. One that is not fearful, not reactive, but intentional. It is the picture of a person who does not fight life, but listens to it. Who does not suppress pain, but transforms it. Who does not rush through breath, but honors each one like a sacred gift. And perhaps that is the greatest secret of all. Not how not to age, but how to age without becoming heavy. How to walk through time without allowing it to harden you. How to grow in years while shrinking in fear. This is not the youth of skin. It is the youth of spirit, and it begins within. There is a certain kind of light that cannot be applied from the outside. It emerges from within. It shines in the way someone looks at the world, the way they speak with conviction, yet kindness, and the way they walk, knowing they are guided by something deeper than appearance or external validation. That light is purpose. It is the alignment between the soul's longing and the life that is being lived. And that is the third hidden reason why some people appear younger than their age. They carry purpose in their eyes. You can notice it instantly. In a crowd, among people chasing trends, gossip, or comfort, the person who moves with intention stands out. Not because they are loud, but because their energy is focused. Their attention is not scattered. Their smile does not seek approval. It offers presence. The eyes, they say, are the windows to the soul. But more accurately, the eyes are the windows to one's alignment. They show whether the life lived matches the inner compass. Purpose does not always have to be grand. It doesn't have to be about changing the world or building something vast. Sometimes, purpose is found in the quiet decision to wake up each morning and be a source of peace in one's family. Sometimes, it is found in giving love where it has been missing, in healing wounds that go back generations, or in committing to a path that brings integrity to each step. These kinds of purposes may go unnoticed by society, but they are deeply recognized by the soul. And that recognition shows itself in the body's vitality. From a psychological and neurological perspective, living with a sense of purpose activates the brain's reward circuitry. It increases dopamine production. Not the erratic spikes of artificial pleasure, but the steady flow associated with meaning and sustained fulfillment. This is what researchers now understand as the basis of sustainable motivation, the kind that doesn't burn you out, but builds you up. And it turns out that this flow of dopamine not only improves mental clarity and emotional regulation, but it also supports neuroplasticity, reduces inflammation, and increases resilience, all factors that influence how we age. In contrast, a person who lives in misalignment, doing what they dislike, betraying their own truth, staying silent when they need to speak, or staying busy to avoid emptiness, experiences a silent drain of life energy. It may not show immediately, but over time, the eyes dim, the skin dulls, and the posture begins to collapse under the invisible weight of unlived truth. No external beauty regimen can hide the internal erosion caused by a purposeless life. A woman once came to me during a silent retreat. She was in her late 40s, but looked a decade older. Her face held tension, and her eyes were full of questions that had not been answered for years. She had spent most of her adult life caring for others, running a household, and attending to responsibilities. But she felt invisible, both to herself and others. "I feel like I've aged overnight," she confessed. "There's no joy left in what I do." I asked her a simple question. "When was the last time you did something with your whole heart, not because you had to, but because you wanted to?" She paused. Tears welled in her eyes. "I don't remember," she whispered. Purpose does not require a complete change of life. It often requires a return to sincerity, to what once sparked you, to what once felt meaningful before the world told you it was impractical. I encouraged her to return to something she loved as a child, drawing. She began to draw again, even for just 10 minutes a day. She started journaling, writing poems no one would read. Over the months, her face began to soften. Her eyes, once tired, became expressive again. The lines did not disappear, but they no longer looked like burdens. They looked like stories being lived fully. You see, when a person's actions align with their inner truth, their energy becomes magnetic. Their presence becomes medicine. And in relationships, this is profoundly attractive. A partner who is living with purpose becomes a mirror, inviting their loved ones to rise into their own alignment. There is nothing more youthful than passion grounded in authenticity. Not reckless passion, but the passion that comes from knowing your why. Relationships without shared or individual purpose often fall into routine, or worse, resentment. But when both partners live with a sense of purpose, even if their paths differ, they bring energy back to the connection. They come home not depleted, but expanded. They share not just facts about their day, but insights. They challenge one another not to conform, but to grow. In such relationships, time becomes irrelevant. The connection stays vibrant not because of novelty, but because of depth. Purpose is not something to chase. It is something to remember. It is found when you listen to your life, not just your goals. And when you walk in that remembrance daily, your body responds with vitality. The eyes reflect it. The tone of your voice carries it. The very way you move begins to echo the presence of someone who is not lost. Now, from this sacred foundation of purpose, we enter the fourth hidden reason that contributes to youthful energy and appearance: relational grace. There is a kind of beauty that no filter can create and no product can enhance. It arises when a person learns to navigate relationships with gentleness, respect, and restraint. It is a beauty that blooms from grace, the ability to love without controlling, to listen without judging, to give without keeping score. Relational grace is not weakness. It is strength under conscious control, and it leaves no scars, only peace. In relationships, conflict is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Suffering begins when the ego wants to win, to be right, to punish, to hold superiority. Grace, on the other hand, begins when the heart desires healing more than victory. This shift, though subtle, is transformative. It not only improves the relationship, it changes the energy within the person who chooses it. From a physiological perspective, every conflict activates a cascade of stress chemicals in the body. Each argument, silent treatment, or prolonged bitterness triggers fight or flight responses. Blood pressure rises, muscles tense, digestive functions slow, skin becomes dull and reactive. Over time, this damages the immune system and accelerates aging. Yet when we practice grace, we switch off the stress alarm. We activate oxytocin, the hormone of connection, trust, and relaxation. This creates the conditions for healing, not just emotionally, but physically. Let me share with you the story of a man who had aged prematurely. At just 40, he appeared worn down by life. He was often angry, sarcastic, dismissive of others. His relationships were strained. His marriage was cold. His children avoided him. When we spoke, I asked, "Do you believe people are out to hurt you?" He looked surprised. "Yes," he said after a pause. "That's been my experience." I replied gently, "And have you become the same? Hurting others before they can hurt you?" His eyes dropped. He nodded. I didn't realize I had. Over the next few months, he began a daily practice, not of therapy or coaching, but of intentional silence. 10 minutes a day, he would sit with the question, "What would grace do here?" Slowly, he began to soften. He apologized to his wife without expecting her to change. He listened to his children's stories without correcting them. He let people speak without feeling the need to dominate. And he noticed something strange. He started sleeping better. His face relaxed. He began to smile without cynicism. One day he said, "I feel like I've recovered 10 years of my life, just by not needing to be right all the time." This is the secret power of grace. It doesn't just restore relationships, it restores the soul. And the soul, when no longer burdened with resentment, allows the body to heal. Wrinkles that were once etched from frowns begin to fade. Eyes that once narrowed in suspicion begin to widen with kindness. The breath deepens. The voice lowers. There is a stillness that comes, not from exhaustion, but from maturity. Grace is not about letting others walk over you. It's about choosing how you respond. It is the ability to set boundaries without cruelty, to speak truth without shouting, to forgive without forgetting who you are. And this kind of emotional intelligence is incredibly attractive, not only to others, but to life itself. In intimate relationships, grace is the balm that heals what time cannot. When partners stop trying to change each other and begin to understand one another, the love matures. It becomes less about ego and more about presence. less about controlling the outcome and more about holding space for growth. This kind of relationship keeps both partners young, not because there are no problems, but because there is no violence in how those problems are handled. And perhaps this is what youthfulness truly is, not the absence of age, but the absence of bitterness. A person who learns to relate with grace will always seem younger than someone who carries unresolved grudges, because grace lightens the load. And when the heart is light, the face follows. As you walk through your own relationships, romantic, familial, or social, ask yourself not just, is this relationship good for me, but also, am I bringing grace into it? Not every relationship will be easy. Some will require distance. Some will need clarity. But all of them benefit from grace, even the ones you must leave behind, because the energy you carry forward after a relationship is often more powerful than the relationship itself. Carry anger, and it will age you. Carry lessons, and it will shape you. Carry grace, and it will bless you. So whether through the fierce clarity of purpose or the quiet strength of grace, there is a path to a youthfulness that is not dependent on time. It is dependent on presence, alignment, and the deep willingness to live and love with awareness. There are people you meet who seem to glow with an effortless vibrancy. They do not dress to impress, nor do they speak to be noticed. But when you sit beside them, you feel more at peace. Their presence feels light, almost like you're in the company of someone who has nothing to prove, yet everything to offer. And when you really observe them, you begin to notice something profound. They do not cling to the past. They are not carrying emotional residue from old wounds, unresolved anger, or unspoken pain. They have learned the sacred art of emotional detoxification. And that is the fifth hidden reason why some people look significantly younger than their age. They practice inner cleansing of emotions that others choose to store and suppress. The body is not separate from the emotions. This is not just a spiritual idea. It is a scientific truth. Neuroscience shows us that emotional experiences imprint themselves on the nervous system. Chronic stress, suppressed grief, unresolved guilt. All of these live in the body, not just in memory. They shape your posture, your tone of voice, your facial tension, even your digestion and immune function. Every emotion you refuse to feel doesn't disappear. It goes somewhere. And over time, that emotional load manifests as physical fatigue, premature aging, and energetic stagnation. In Eastern philosophy, we speak of the meridians, the channels through which life energy, or qi, flows. When emotions become trapped, they block these pathways. Just as a river becomes polluted when its natural flow is obstructed, your inner system becomes toxic when feelings are denied expression. This is why someone can eat all the right foods, exercise regularly, even meditate, and still look tired, worn, or heavy. Because the real aging comes not from what we do, but from what we carry. And what people often carry is old emotional pain that they've never been taught how to release. We live in a culture that teaches people how to succeed, but not how to let go. We know how to chase goals, but we do not know how to grieve, how to forgive, or how to feel without judgment. And so, many walk through life like emotional hoarders, holding on to every insult, betrayal, or disappointment, stacking them silently within. Eventually, that weight shows up in the body. It tightens the jaw, it weakens the eyes, it shortens the breath, and slowly, it steals away the spark that once made them feel alive. A woman once told me, "I don't know why I look older than my younger sister. We eat the same, we live the same, but she looks vibrant, and I feel exhausted." When we spoke more, I learned that she was still carrying bitterness toward a betrayal that had happened 15 years ago. She had never cried over it, never spoken openly about it. Crying feels weak, she admitted. I needed to be strong. But what is strength, really? Strength is not the absence of emotion. Strength is the ability to move through emotion without becoming it. Strength is knowing when to hold and when to release. Just as the lungs must exhale to remain healthy, the heart must grieve, forgive, and let go to remain young. So I taught her a simple practice: emotional breathing. Each night, instead of distracting herself with television or scrolling through her phone, she would sit in silence, breathe deeply, and ask herself, what am I still carrying? As emotions surfaced, sadness, anger, confusion, she didn't analyze them. She simply breathed them out. With every exhale, she imagined releasing another layer of weight. Over time, something began to shift. Her voice softened. Her eyes became less defensive. She started sleeping deeper, waking with more energy. I didn't realize how much space my pain was taking, she said. Letting it go feels like a rebirth. This is the power of emotional detox, not as a one-time ritual, but as a lifestyle. Just as you would not go years without cleaning your home, your inner world must also be kept clear. Otherwise, the emotional clutter accumulates, and eventually, it spills into your relationships. Because what we do not release, we project. Unprocessed grief becomes criticism. Repressed anger becomes sarcasm. Suppressed insecurity becomes jealousy. And in close relationships, this unspoken emotional baggage becomes a quiet poison, eroding trust, intimacy, and connection. Think of two people in a relationship. One of them is deeply hurt by something in the past, maybe from childhood or a previous partner, but has never dealt with it. They enter this new relationship, and suddenly, they become overly possessive, reactive, or withdrawn. The partner feels confused, thinking, why is something so small causing such a strong reaction? But the truth is, the reaction isn't to the present, it's to the past being triggered. And until that emotion is cleared, it will continue to distort the relationship. This is why emotional detox is essential not just for health, but for love. When you are clean inside, when you're not dragging unresolved emotional charges, you become easier to connect with. You become more present, more grounded, and more capable of responding instead of reacting. And in relationships, that is what creates safety and emotional intimacy. There is a profound beauty in someone who has processed their inner world. You can feel it in how they listen, not just with their ears, but with their presence. You can see it in how they look at you, not as a threat, but as a mirror. You can sense it in how they speak, not to defend themselves, but to understand. That kind of inner cleanliness gives rise to a timeless attractiveness, a kind of beauty that is not youthful in appearance, but in energy. But how do we begin this process of inner cleansing? First, by recognizing the signs of emotional stagnation: constant fatigue, irritability, tightness in the chest, digestive issues, or overreactions to small events. These are not random, they are signals. The body speaks when the mind refuses to listen. Second, by creating daily space to feel without judgment. This could be through journaling, breathwork, slow walking, or simply sitting in silence. The goal is not to solve emotions, but to allow them to move. Emotions are energy in motion. The moment we allow them to pass through, they complete their cycle. But when we suppress them, they store. Third, by speaking your truth. Not to blame others, but to release the weight of silence. Find a trusted friend, a therapist, or a journal. Say what you've been too afraid to say, not for the sake of others, but to reclaim your own clarity. There is something incredibly liberating about putting words to your wounds. It gives your inner world permission to breathe again. Fourth, by forgiving, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Unforgiveness is a prison where you are both the prisoner and the guard. And as long as you hold someone else captive in your mind, you are never truly free. Forgiveness doesn't mean you condone the behavior. It means you refuse to let that behavior define your future. And finally, by grieving. Yes, grief is sacred. We live in a culture that avoids grief, that distracts itself from loss. But in doing so, we also block renewal. Grief is how the heart cleanses itself. It is how old seasons are closed, so new ones can begin. To cry is not to be broken. To cry is to be human. And sometimes, the tears you resist are the very ones that would have set you free. In relationships, when both partners commit to emotional cleansing, the relationship becomes a sanctuary, not of perfection, but of presence. Conflicts are no longer about winning, but about understanding. Mistakes become opportunities for growth, and instead of blaming one another, they hold space for one another. This kind of relationship doesn't just survive, it thrives. Because it is not built on emotional clutter, but on emotional clarity. Imagine waking up each morning without the weight of yesterday. Imagine looking into your partner's eyes and not seeing the ghosts of arguments past. Imagine facing challenges without your childhood pain clouding your judgment. That is the kind of life available when you cleanse your emotional field consistently. And what you'll notice, beyond the emotional benefits, is that your body begins to respond. Your breath deepens, your skin softens, your face carries more openness. your movements become more graceful. Because the body, when free from emotional burden, returns to its natural rhythm, a rhythm of youthfulness, lightness, and vitality. There is a Tibetan saying, the body benefits from movement, and the mind benefits from stillness. But what is often missed is that the heart benefits from release. When we stop clinging, stop storing, stop suppressing, we return to the natural state of peace. And peace is the most attractive quality a human being can radiate. You may meet someone who has wrinkles, gray hair, and lines on their face. But if they are emotionally clear, their energy will still feel young. Their laughter will be sincere. Their presence will be calming. Their eyes will be filled with compassion. That is what makes them beautiful. That is what makes them ageless. Because youth is not a number, it is a frequency, and the clearer you are inside, the higher that frequency becomes. This is not esoteric, it is practical. Try it for just 1 month. Choose to release rather than repress. Choose to feel rather than numb. Choose to forgive rather than hold, and you will see, your energy changes, your relationships change, and yes, even your appearance changes. Not because you chased beauty, but because you removed what was blocking it. In this way, emotional detoxification becomes not just a tool for healing, but a daily discipline of self-respect. It is how you honor your inner space. And when that space is clear, life flows through you like a stream, fresh, vital, and deeply alive. There is a kind of beauty that cannot be bought, painted on, or surgically enhanced. It arises not from what is placed on the surface, but from a quiet harmony within. A radiance that reveals itself, not through the symmetry of your features, but through the symmetry of your life. This is the final hidden reason why some people look far younger than their age. They live in alignment with their values, their lifestyle, and their purpose. Their outer glow is a reflection of their inner congruence. When your outer actions are in harmony with your inner truths, your entire being relaxes. There is no more tension from pretending, no stress from performing. Your breath deepens, your posture softens, and your relationships, those mirrors through which you see yourself, become more fluid, more authentic. And that authenticity has a beauty that age cannot touch. Most people live fragmented lives. They say one thing but do another. They desire one kind of relationship, but entertain another kind of partner. They believe in peace, but surround themselves with noise. They value health, but sacrifice sleep for meaningless distraction. And this conflict, between what they know and what they practice, is the silent thief of their vitality. In psychology, this is referred to as cognitive dissonance. When your behaviors are not in alignment with your beliefs or values, the nervous system interprets this as a kind of internal war. It quietly erodes your self-esteem, breeds anxiety, and introduces chronic stress. Over time, this tension leaves an imprint on your face, your energy, and your interactions. In Eastern philosophy, the word for alignment is dharma. It means living according to your highest truth, in balance with the natural order. When you live in dharma, you move through life not with strain but with grace. You make decisions not from fear, but from wisdom. You speak with clarity, act with integrity, and relate with presence. This kind of inner alignment creates an outer beauty that no skincare routine can replicate. But alignment is not a fixed destination. It is a daily discipline. It is the result of thousands of small choices: how you wake up, how you respond to stress, how you treat your partner when no one is watching, how you nourish your body, how you use your time, how you set boundaries, how you handle temptation. Each of these is a moment of truth, an opportunity to either drift further from yourself or come closer. A woman once came to a retreat, exhausted and depleted. She was only in her early 40s, but her energy felt heavy, her eyes dim. "I do everything right," she said. "I work out, I eat well, I take supplements, but I still feel old. I don't recognize myself in the mirror." When I asked about her daily life, she revealed a painful truth. She was living in a relationship that made her feel small, working a job that drained her, and surrounded by people who only took from her. But she stayed, because she was afraid of starting over. "I don't want to disappoint anyone," she said. But what she didn't realize was that she had already disappointed the most important person, herself. And so I asked her one simple question: what would your life look like if you honored your truth, not your fears? She was silent for a long time. Then the tears came. Sometimes The first step to alignment is grief. Grieving the years we abandoned ourselves. Grieving the dreams we compromised. Grieving the masks we wore to be accepted. But grief is not weakness. It is a doorway. Through it, we reclaim ourselves. 6 months later, she returned. Her face looked different, softer, brighter. Not younger in the conventional sense, but alive. I made some difficult choices, she said. I ended the relationship. I found work that aligns with my gifts. I spend time alone, but I'm not lonely. I feel light. That lightness was not the result of changing her appearance. It was the result of changing her alignment. In relationships, alignment is especially crucial. Because when you are not aligned, you attract relationships that mirror your confusion. You tolerate disrespect because you haven't respected your own boundaries. You accept crumbs of love because you haven't given yourself the feast of self-worth, and slowly you lose your glow. Not because you aged, but because you disconnected from your essence. People often ask, why do I keep attracting the wrong kind of partner? The answer is not outside, it's inside. You attract what your energy is prepared to receive. And when your life is out of alignment, your relationships reflect that misalignment. But when you begin to align your actions with your truth, everything begins to shift. You start making different choices. You begin saying no where you once said yes. You set clearer boundaries. You express your needs without guilt. You leave spaces where you are not met with respect. And as you do, your energy clears, your posture changes, your voice strengthens. And suddenly, the people who used to fit into your life no longer feel right. That's not a loss. It's a sign of growth. One of the most powerful forms of beauty is self-respect. When you respect yourself enough to live in alignment, it shows. In how you walk into a room, in how you look someone in the eye, in how you sit with silence, in how you choose love not from desperation, but from abundance. That kind of beauty cannot be dimmed by age. It only deepens. Alignment also gives birth to presence. When you are not fighting yourself, you can fully arrive. In a conversation, in a kiss, in a moment of solitude, in the morning light touching your skin. This presence is magnetic. It makes people lean in. It makes you feel timeless. Because true youth is not about how many years have passed, but how deeply you can be here, now, without needing to escape. But here's the part most people overlook: alignment requires sacrifice. You cannot please everyone and remain aligned. You cannot numb your emotions and stay aligned. You cannot say yes to things that drain you and expect to remain vibrant. You will lose people, opportunities, and even versions of yourself. But what you gain is worth more: your peace, your clarity, your glow. There's a quote I often share: if you avoid the conflict to keep the peace, you start a war inside yourself. That war ages you. That war hardens your heart, dulls your skin, tenses your body. But when you choose alignment, even when it's difficult, you create an inner peace that no product can purchase. So how do you begin to live in alignment? Start by listening. Your body knows. When something is not right for you, you feel it. In your gut, in your breath, in your sleep. Do not dismiss these signs. They are not irrational. They are your intuition speaking through your physiology. Next, define your core values. What do you stand for? What kind of energy do you want in your life? What kind of love do you want to give and receive? When you get clear on this, your path becomes clearer, decisions become easier, and you stop chasing things that do not nourish your spirit. Then, make adjustments. Not dramatic ones at first, but consistent ones. Begin waking up a little earlier to sit with your thoughts. Begin saying no to invitations that do not serve your peace. Begin moving your body in ways that honor it, not punish it. Begin speaking up in relationships, not from aggression, but from truth. And finally, remain flexible. Alignment is not rigidity. It is not about perfection. It's about continually returning to center. Some days you will stray. You will fall into old patterns, entertain low energy, or lose touch with yourself. That's okay. The goal is not to never fall, but to fall less and rise faster. When you live in alignment, you age differently, not just slower, but wiser. Your eyes carry stories, but not sorrow. Your skin holds years, but not regrets. Your voice speaks with strength, but not bitterness. And your presence, it comforts, inspires, and uplifts. People may not always be able to explain why they are drawn to you, but they will feel it. The ease, the lightness, the authenticity. They will say, there's something about you. that something is your alignment. In the end, your greatest glow up is not cosmetic, it's energetic. And it begins the moment you decide to no longer abandon yourself. When your choices reflect your truth, your relationships become reflections of your worth, and your life, every moment of it, becomes a mirror of your inner peace. The journey of looking younger than your age is not a matter of magic. It is a manifestation of alignment between the mind, the body, and the spirit. What people often admire as beauty, youthfulness, or charm is in truth the visible expression of inner harmony. It is the softness that comes from emotional maturity, the lightness that comes from letting go of what is heavy, the clarity that comes from self-awareness, and the peace that comes from living in truth. True youth is not frozen in time. It is fluid. It evolves, it deepens, it matures without hardening. When you are emotionally resilient, spiritually awake, and physically nurtured, you carry an energy that cannot be replicated by cosmetics or concealed by years. You age, yes, but you do not grow old. Because the soul, when it is cared for, glows through the eyes and through the way you love, speak, breathe, and show up in the world. This is what the world feels but cannot name: a woman or a man who has cultivated their inner world so deeply that time does not leave lines of regret, only impressions of grace. When you care for your nervous system through stillness and mindfulness, when you let go of resentment and learn to forgive, not for others, but for your own peace, when you nourish your body not as a burden but as a sacred vessel, when you cultivate joyful relationships and speak truth with love, and most of all, when you live in alignment with who you truly are, then you awaken a beauty that no mirror can fully reflect. So do not chase youth, embody presence. Do not obsess over appearances. Align with your essence. And most of all, do not fear aging. Instead, fear living out of rhythm with your soul. Because a peaceful heart, a disciplined mind, a vibrant body, and a loving spirit, they do not grow old, they grow eternal. And that, dear listener, is why some people look younger than their age, because they are living fully, truthfully, aligned. And in this alignment, there is no age, only light.